It's Wednesday, and you know what that means. Welcome to Throne Zone Season 3. This is your captain speaking, along with Sir Daniel of House Crimmins. We are now halfway into the season.
And
And
what season? What a
we're-
season.
what a season, what an episode, and we're at the point of the time jump, which it is bittersweet,
Yeah.
because, of course, we're saying goodbye to two fantastic actresses in young Rhaenyra and young Alicent, but we're also saying a big welcome to adult Rhaenyra and Alicent in the next episode.
Oh, yeah. I don't know too much about the actress that's playing Rhaenyra, but the actress that's playing Alicent Hightower, Olivia Cook, is that her name?
Yes.
She's fantastic. She was in Ready Player One. Loved her in that.
Yeah, I've seen her in a few things too, and she's been great. She was also in Bates Motel. Adult Rhaenyra, I've seen her in one thing, in like a murder mystery drama in the UK, and she played a minor character there, but that was a few years ago. I'm pretty sure she's got a few more dramas under her belt now. So drama seems to be her forte.
And thank God we still have Matt Smith.
Oh, he's completely taken the Game of Thrones fandom by storm.
Oh yeah, I was talking to a family member, and I said, I really think that he's to this show what Peter Dinklage was to Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I mean, the only difference with Matt Smith and Damon is a lot more villainous, but still people love him.
Oh yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen any villainous character at this level with such a huge fandom. Like, people are completely following him like a cult.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I guess the closest, like, if you think of, like, with Game of Thrones, like, Charles Dance, people love the man, but oh my God, he was a monster as Tywin.
Yeah, very, very fair comparison. Yeah, other than Tywin, there was really nobody in Game of Thrones that you were supposed to hate, but you loved. Like, Joffrey, you hated his guts. Ramsay, you hated his guts, and they were so good at being villains. But Matt Smith, you're supposed to hate him because he's doing some awful things, especially in this episode.
Oh yeah,
But
like,
he's
he's a
such a lovable
manipulative
character.
bastard. Like, he's manipulating.
He's a lovable asshole.
Oh yeah. Like, he's the lovable asshole. Like, you shouldn't like this guy. I mean, the counter to Game of Thrones was like, with Thrones, you had people that you hated the characters but loved the actors. Like, Jack Gleason was fantastic as Joffrey. Ewan Rion was great as Ramsay Bolton.
Yeah, they were both amazing. And very early on in this episode, we get to see another villainous act from Daemon, as we're finally introduced to his wife, Rhea Royce, but not for long.
We found out that, because he said, I think it was in the second episode, that she was barren. You come to find out he never even consummated a marriage.
Yeah, and he also said the Vale is full of sheep fuckers. In fact, some people would prefer the sheep.
Yeah, look, he's someone that wants power, and he doesn't care how he's going to get it.
No, and he wasn't obviously getting any power from Rhea Royce. At least we thought so until the end, which we'll get to. He is getting something out of her death, which honestly was a little cruel. Like, we were only just introduced to Rhea Royce, and he kills her, as far as we know, for seemingly no reason.
Yeah.
The only thing we've heard about her so far is that he doesn't want to be married to her anymore.
Yeah, we know who he wants.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, for those of you that don't know the kind of Targaryen backstory, I mean, it's not outside the norm for a Targaryen to take a second wife. Aegon the Conqueror married his older sister and his younger sister.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's been done. There's precedent for it.
Yeah, and we say this so casually because that is the Targaryen dynasty. That they, for want of a better term, give no fucks.
Yeah, just to each other.
That, you know, like we had this whole pure blood versus mudblood thing in Harry Potter, but the Targaryens take it to the extreme. They like to keep it in the family.
Oh yeah, they're pure blood through and through.
So I mean, the majority of this episode was obviously all about Rhaenyra's wedding to Laenor Valerian, who we come to find out also has other interests.
Yeah. He likes goose where Rhaenyra likes duck.
That was such a good analogy because when she dropped into that conversation, I was just like, why is she talking about duck and goose? Wait a minute.
You're like,
I get it.
oh yeah, that whole thing.
And then if just in case anybody didn't figure it out, they spelt it out very vividly within the next scene.
And I think the biggest lesson from this episode, and I think it rings true to Game of Thrones as well. Don't try and have a wedding in the Game of Thrones verse.
No, as we've said in Game of Thrones, in George R. R. Martin's universe, in pro wrestling, never have a wedding. It's never gonna go smoothly.
Just don't. Like there's a meme out there of George R. R. Martin, and happy belated birthday to him. It was yesterday. He is set as a picture of him that says, if you're throwing a wedding, don't let this guy plan it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he writes the weddings in wrestling.
Oh, probably. Like I'm sure somebody somewhere probably read, the first couple Game of Thrones books and like, you know what? We got to use this.
It's like it's a mirror image of real life. You get a wedding invitation in real life, you're like, cool, this is gonna be good. You get a wedding invitation in Westeros, and it's oh shit, what? Who's gonna die?
I mean, you have Daemon Targaryen who's not even invited.
Just walked in,
shows up. He's like, yeah, I'm here.
I love how he just unbanishes himself every episode.
Yeah, like how many times has the dude been kicked out of King's Landing and he's still there?
That's the thing about Matt Smith. I think that's what people love so much. It's his presence. He doesn't give a shit. He just walks into a room and nobody says anything.
No, and like, don't get me wrong, Viserys is weak.
Yeah.
Like everything, if I'm him, everything that Daemon has done, why wouldn't you have him executed?
I think we touched on this either last episode or the one before, where Viserys obviously doesn't trust his brother, and he knows that he is a very dangerous person, but at the same time, he can't do any. He doesn't want to do anything about him because he loves his brother. But Viserys is very conflicted when it comes to Daemon.
He knows what he needs to do, but he doesn't want to do it.
Yeah, or he can't do it.
Yeah.
And he is getting weaker and weaker. His condition just keeps getting worse and worse with that infection.
Yeah.
And as we're going to see in the trailer for the next episode, his appearance is very much changing too.
I think in this beginning of this, I think he was like late 40s, maybe 50.
Yeah. And we're jumping up 10 years to the next episode, and he looks like he's jumped up 30 years.
Yeah, he looks like he's not long for this world, which I don't think he is.
No, and again, that's bittersweet because we barely got to know this character, but we know that once he's gone, that's when the real politics come into play, and everybody's going to be vying for that throne.
Like people think that the War of the Five Kings in Game of Thrones was bad. That's child's play.
Yeah, that's nothing.
You know, it's like a chess match. You know, we're at the point now where all the pieces are being put on the board. Like people that you thought were going to be loyal to one side, like you thought Sir Kristen Cole was going to be loyal to Rhaenyra. That's clearly not.
He's a very likable character, but this episode, whenever he opened his mouth, you were just thinking, "Please shut up! Please shut up! Please shut up!"
And the thing with it is, like he was acting like Rhaenyra was manipulating him, but at that same time, it's like he goes from being manipulated by Rhaenyra to being manipulated by Alicent Hightower.
I don't think she intended to. Like, I'm
Not at
fairly
first.
certain she just wanted to question him about what he knew about Rhaenyra and Daemon. And immediately, once that conversation begins, you know exactly where it's going. There's going to be a misunderstanding, and he's going to say something stupid that's going to incriminate himself. But he does more than that. He just openly says, "Yeah, it was me."
Yeah.
It was just the biggest unintentional mic drop.
And now she is manipulating him.
Now she has the power to, yeah.
Because you know he's not going to do anything.
No, and he came very close to just giving up right at the end of this episode. But not before we saw him just lose his shit and brutally pummel Sir Joffrey Lonmouth to death.
Oh, he turned him into hamburger.
Yeah. Like that face just turned into dope.
Yeah. It's like, like just completely randomly, like not even provoked. You just like kill a guy.
I mean, we don't actually know what this Joffrey, such a common name apparently in Game of Thrones, said to Kristen Cole. But obviously, we saw what he was alluding to before the fight broke out. Like, I love how that last 5-10 minutes was just everything. It was just a cataclysmic event. Everything just went off, and it was a snowball effect.
And there was the line where you see Alicent walk in and wearing green, and I think he actually was said to Joffrey, and he said, "What color do the High Towers fly when they're readying their banners for war?"
Yeah.
And I think it was at that moment because when you see her walk in, you see a quick flash to Daemon and then a quick flash to Rhaenyra. They both know, and I think at that moment, Rhaenyra realizes, "Oh shit, she knows something."
Yeah, and of course it's more than that. It means she's, like her dad Otto said at the beginning of the episode, she's preparing Aegon to rule.
Yeah, like she's got to make a decision, and people are going to see what's going to happen, and it's not going to be good.
No, that green dress was effectively a declaration of war.
Oh yeah, the Shrek dress,
and it, in a way, it was kind of, it was quite of a subtle way to do it. Just walking in wearing this particular colored dress, and if you know, you know. If you don't know, then it's just like, oh, she's wearing a dress. Why is everybody gone silent? Why is everybody looking at her? Then, of course, we get that conversation with Joffrey explaining what it means, and all of a sudden, it's a lot more than just walking into a room late, deliberately late, to have an even bigger impact wearing this particular colored dress.
and even Viserys, he knew that something was up. You know, like he knew.
Yeah. There also seems to be a little bit of naivety when it comes to Viserys too. Like you said, he knew something was up, but he didn't know quite what. He just knew she'd just done something big.
I think he knows, but he doesn't want to openly acknowledge it.
No, and he's kind of been like that all the way through, to be honest.
Yeah, acting like, oh, nothing's wrong, everything's grand, everything's great. No, it's not.
The only thing really about Viserys is that he is standing by Rhaenyra. Like he's standing by his word that she is heir to the throne.
And then we have the scene between Rhaenyra and the Son of the Hand.
Oh yeah, I think he's going to be a very sneaky person as the series goes on.
I mean, that was some serious Littlefinger vibes.
Yeah, definitely.
Like that was like kind of like, hey, because I mean, to me that was like the moment where Littlefinger basically told Ned Stark, like, hey, if you want some information, here's where you look.
Yeah. He he is like that character in the background in like a role in a NPC game. He's that NPC character that you just go to for hints.
Yeah. And like the fact that he randomly was just sneaking about, like you saw him in the background the entire episode, and you're like, why do they keep showing this guy?
Yeah, he very very untrustworthy. But like we said about Laenor's other interests, which is basically why this is a perfect marriage for Rhaenyra, because honestly, I don't think she knows what she wants at this point, other than she wants to be the queen.
Yeah.
But this gives her power by uniting the Valerians and the Targaryens. It fulfills her father's wishes by uniting the houses, and they both still get what they want because they both have a secret.
Yeah.
Well, except Laenor no longer does get what he wants because Kristen Cole took that away from him.
Well, not only that, but Laenor's parents know, like they know flat out, like,
Oh yeah,
because I mean, his mother, Rhaenys, even said, hey, our son's like this, and Corlys is like, yeah, he'll grow out of it.
yeah, it's just a phase.
Now that he's married, he's getting married. Yeah, he'll grow out of it. Everything will be fine.
But Rhaenyra did use Daemon's own line against him, which explains how she feels about this relationship, where she said weddings are pretty much a political statement.
Yeah. And then there comes Allison Hightower with probably the biggest political statement, the biggest political "fuck you, I know what you did" statement.
Yeah, absolutely. And Otto Hightower is obviously going to be behind her, and he's one of the wisest people in this show so far.
Oh yeah, like people think he's not going anywhere. He's pulling some strings already.
No, and like especially when Viserys does go, he's going to be grandfather to one of the heirs to the throne.
Yeah.
The one heir that the people are going to be behind.
Yeah, because it's in that time period, like you didn't really have kings. Like he disinherited Daemon out of anger.
Yeah.
I mean, I heard somebody say, "Well, would Daemon as king have been that bad?" Yeah. Daemon as king would have been horrible.
We've seen the things he's done without a crown, right?
I mean, do you not remember that first episode when he was head of the city guard, when he was Lord Commander?
Right. And he just brutalized the city.
Like, that's just one city. Like, as king? But oh my god, it's gonna get bad, people.
It's going to get fiery and it's going to get bloody, and that's exactly what we expected from this show.
From the very sick mind of George Martin.
Yeah, the great sick mind.
I mean, this is the guy who went on Conan O'Brien, and they played him videos of people reacting to the Red Wedding. he laughed. Like he thought it was funny.
Yeah, it's great how every wedding in Game of Thrones is named after a color. So we had the red wedding, Joffrey and Marjorie's wedding was the purple wedding. This was the green wedding because of Alicent's. What was Marjorie and Tommen's wedding? Because nothing happened in that one. That was the only clean, smooth wedding in Game of Thrones history.
I don't think it got a color.
I think it was just like the golden wedding because everything went right for once.
Didn't last.
Oh yeah, it didn't last, but the actual wedding day was great.
Poor Tommen. I feel so bad for him.
He, like we said, Viserys is a little bit naive. Tommen was fully naive.
Well, see, you understand it more with Tommen because, like, I think in the books he was only like 10 or 11.
Yeah.
And so you understand, you expect a level of naivete with a kid, not with a 50-year-old man. Like, dude, your daughter snuck out with your brother. Like,
But he doesn't want to believe it.
even though, like, he knows it's true, it's like, that's why he sent her that tea.
Yeah. Just in case. Otto also pretty much gave Alicent an ultimatum when he said, like, she's the reason he's leaving because she chose Rhaenyra's side. And then he pretty much gave her a choice: prepare Aegon to rule or cleave to Rhaenyra and pray for her mercy. Because he knows she's going to fight tooth and nail to keep her right to the throne.
Oh,
But
yeah.
at the same time, he knows the people are going to rally behind Aegon.
Yeah, I mean, because you've got to figure Viserys goes. I mean, all the lords swore fealty to Rhaenyra and acknowledged her as the heir to the Iron Throne. But are they going to do their duty? Yes. But is the public at large?
Yeah.
That's going to split the realm in half because you're going to have some that are going to do their duty, probably like the Starks. They're probably going to side with Rhaenyra because their word.
Yeah.
And I think at that moment, like when Alicent figured out what was going on, I think that's when she realized that, yeah, when Viserys goes, Rhaenyra would not hesitate to take out, Aegon and everyone else. Like, and by extension, would Rhaenyra take out Alicent if push came to shove? I think she would.
Absolutely. I think in a way or at least in the previous episode, felt betrayed by Alicent because it's her childhood best friend, and now all of a sudden she's the queen or the
Oh,
queen
yeah.
consort.
In her mind, she would look at it like, well, she wouldn't look at it that she betrayed Alicent. She would say, well, you betrayed me by marrying my father.
And producing an heir with a much stronger claim to the throne because he's male.
Yeah, and people don't, people have to realize that.
So from the preview, which we're going to show in a little bit for the next episode, what we know from episode 6, like I said, we're going to jump ahead 10 years. We're going to be introduced to a lot more players in the future Dance of Dragons, namely, I think it's 6 children.
Yes. We are going to be introduced, obviously, Aegon the second will have aged up. I think at this point he's 13 or 14. He's the same age that Rhaenyra was at the start of the season.
Yeah.
And I believe we are also introduced to Rhaenyra's 2 sons, supposedly fathered by Laenor.
Yeah.
If that's all true. Although when with the books, they never explicitly said that they weren't his, but Who knows?
We also get a glimpse of Aegon's younger brother, whose name escapes me at the moment, but he's pretty much confronted by a dragon somewhere, down in the pits somewhere, who seems to be trying to bond with a dragon at a very early age.
Yeah. Which I don't think he was born at this previous episode yet.
No. So if Aegon's going to be like 12 in episode 6, then his younger brother will just be being born in between these two episodes. So yeah.
And I think part of what Allison is doing is
wait, he actually may be the baby that Alicent has been cradling in the last
that
two
would
episodes.
make sense. I think at this point, Allison is also trying to make sure that there are more male heirs to the throne, so that Rhaenyra has virtually no claim.
Yeah. And that's always been the thing that favors Aegon. Simply, he's male, she's female. People are going to side with him.
Yeah, strictly because that's how that society was.
And that's how it's always been. We knew right from the very first episode there's never been a queen of Westeros. And that's why her being named heir to the throne was such a big deal.
Yeah. Like, you knew, because they even told, Otto even told him, he said, hey, people aren't going to like this. But wasn't it Otto's idea in the first place?
I believe so, yeah.
To replace Daemon?
Otto seems to have been just like playing both sides.
I think that was also, his way of kind of like a placeholder until, he could get his daughter in the king's bed and produce his son.
Yeah. I think we see...
Let's not get it twisted. Otto Hightower, he's a conniving man himself.
Yeah, very, very much. I think we see 3 new characters on either side, because now it's all about greens versus blacks, basically.
Yes.
So on the green side, which is Alicent's side, we see Aegon. He has a younger brother. I believe he also is going to have a younger sister.
Yes, the sister we know about.
And then we got 3 kids on Rhaenyra's side.
Jacaerys, Joffrey, and there's another one. I can't remember the other one's name.
Helena?
Yes.
Or is that... Oh, actually, I think that's...
No, Helena is Alicent Hightower's daughter.
Yeah, so Helena Targaryen is Alicent and Viserys' daughter, the 3rd child.
She's the second child. She is younger than Aegon, but older than the other one,
which is Aemond.
Not Maester Aemon. Just Aemon.
On the Valyrian side, we have Jacaerys, we have Lucerys, and Joffrey, baby Joffrey, who we pretty much see being born in the next episode. But we also have Lena and Daemon's children being introduced in the next episode too.
Well, now we gotta think she is just another placeholder until Daemon can get the wife he really wants.
Right.
Dude has no problem taking out a wife.
No. And the thing with House of the Dragon, which I have avoided, is the family tree has always been there. So some people know how this is going to go, kind of. But it was also mentioned in Game of Thrones, actually. Joffrey was talking about the history of the Targaryens to Marjorie, I believe, when they were in the Sept of Baelor. Unfortunately, I've completely forgotten who he was talking about being killed, so I don't want to rewatch that scene, and I've avoided it. but I know it's been mentioned. So again,
people want to see the scene. It's out there. You can find it on YouTube. You can find it on HBO Max, whatever. It's out there if you want to see it.
Yeah, but I would suggest remaining with your ignorance or loss of memory at this point, because I got a feeling it's going to be presented pretty extreme as either this season or the next season goes on.
Yeah, this could go a number of different. Who's to say they even go that route?
Sure.
They could completely flip the script and change things.
I mean, I kind of hope they don't, because I like established canon remaining intact. You just try to avoid knowing what's going to happen.
I mean, they did say, Sapochnik did say he wants to keep this show as canon as possible.
Yeah. And it's difficult when we've already seen Game of Thrones, and this history has already been actually talked about in that show.
And now that he has left the show after this season, all I can say is I hope they don't invite Weiss and Benioff back. Like, keep them as far away as possible.
You know what? I can see Sapochnik coming back in future seasons, particularly when they need a big battle sequence, because that's what he's good at.
So I think this is really interesting, his stepping away. Like, he announces he's leaving, and then like 2 weeks later, HBO announces and confirms the Jon Snow sequel.
Yeah.
It's almost as if he's kind of doing like what Jon Favreau did for, Star Wars and Disney. Like, they're bringing the guy in to set everything up.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we'll see. But I got to think he's not done.
No. And as far as Aegon the second goes, like, we've talked before about how he's going to be a future villain in this show. Even if you don't know the history about him, just by looking at him in the preview for this next episode, you kind of get the feeling he's going to be a little shit.
Oh, yeah. Like, even like you look at adult Rhaenyra, even you can tell looks like she's not going to be very popular.
No.
But Millie Alcock, you can't help, like, looking at her, you can't help but liking her. Like, she was just likable.
Yeah, she did such a great job. I mean, one thing we will say about...
She's going to have a really good career.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a launching pad for her, and Emily Carey too, who played younger Alicent. One thing we can say, or at least I think about adult Rhaenyra, is she has a much more majestic look.
Yeah.
Just from like a few short seconds that we see in the trailer for the next episode.
Yeah, people realize that. Like, she looks like she's, ready to be queen.
Yeah, exactly. And from this episode onwards, shit's gonna hit the fan.
Oh yeah, it's. I think we're counting down the episodes to when Viserys dies, which I don't think it's necessary. We have what, 4 more episodes this season?
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if it happens at the end of this season.
I could see it in like the finale or even like the episode before. But y'all, shit's about to hit the fan in a major way.
Yeah. So let's waste no more time. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Throne Zone. Once again, make sure you like and subscribe. Follow us at Throne Zone UK on Twitter, and of course, Throne Zone falls under the Max Wrestling umbrella on SoundCloud. We'll see you next week to discuss this.
We should address the latest developments in the Stepstones, my lords.
Where, I wonder, is our Prince Daemon?
It was a decade ago, and he has since left the region undefended.
We have left undefended. My queen?
What are children but a weakness? Through them, you imagine you will persist forever.
You will be our king.
We are the blood of old Valyria.
But for them, you surrender what you should not. A father compromised by the acts of a son.
To have one child like that is a mistake. To have 3 is an insult.
People have eyes.
The consequences of an allegation like the one you twirled would be dire.
Dracarys!